On Monday evening, May 18th, the President of the United States walked up to reporters in the White House and said something he had never said before in the 80 days of this war. He said he was canceling an attack, not postponing, not delaying, canceling. A very major attack on Iran had been scheduled for Tuesday morning. Bombers were loaded, targeting packages were finalized. The American military machine that had already destroyed Iran's navy, killed its supreme leader, and degraded 85% of its military infrastructure was ready to go again. And 3 phone calls from 3 men sitting in 3 palaces in 3 different countries stopped it. The Emir of Qatar called first. Then the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. Then the President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed. Each one told Trump the same thing. Serious negotiations are underway. A deal is close. Give us 2 to 3 days. Do not bomb them yet. Trump listened to all 3 and then posted 6 sentences on Truth Social that moved the price of oil by $2 in less than 60 seconds. Minutes before his post, petroleum futures had been trading at $108.83 per barrel. By the time traders finished reading his words, the price had dropped below 107. That is how fast the world reacts when one man decides not to launch an attack. By the end of this video, you will fully understand what that Tuesday attack was supposed to be, what triggered it in the first place, why 3 Gulf leaders risked their relationships with Washington to stop it, what the drone strike on a nuclear power plant the day before had to do with everything, and why the next 48 hours will determine whether this was the moment the war ended or the moment before it got worse than anything we have seen so far. Let us start with what happened on Sunday, because the attack Trump canceled on Monday did not come out of nowhere. It was triggered by an event that occurred 24 hours earlier, and that event was an attack on the only nuclear power plant in the Arabian Peninsula. On Sunday, May 17th, 3 drones crossed into UAE airspace from the western border. 2 were intercepted by Emirati air defenses. The 3rd one got through. It struck an external electrical generator sitting just outside the inner security perimeter of the Barakah Nuclear Power Plant in the Al Dhafra region. The impact caused a fire. The fire was contained. No radiation was released. No workers were injured. All 4 reactor units continued operating normally. But the symbolism of what had just happened was more dangerous than the damage itself. Someone had just attacked a nuclear power plant during a war. That has happened exactly 3 times in the history of armed conflict. Chernobyl in the early days of the Ukraine war, Zaporizhzhia during the prolonged fighting in southern Ukraine, and now Barakah. The UAE's response was immediate and furious. Foreign Minister Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed called IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi within hours. Grossi issued a statement saying that military activity that threatens nuclear safety is unacceptable under any circumstances. The UAE officially called it a treacherous and unprovoked terrorist attack. They did not name Iran directly. They did not need to. Every country in the region, including Kuwait, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Egypt, issued condemnation statements within hours. The Muslim Council of Elders, chaired by the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, condemned it. Pakistan, the country mediating the peace talks, condemned it. The entire diplomatic world understood what had happened. A drone, almost certainly launched by Iran or an Iranian-backed militia operating out of Iraq, had struck the perimeter of a nuclear power plant in a country that is not even a direct combatant in the war. Trump's reaction came within hours. He posted on Truth Social that the clock is ticking for Iran and that there won't be anything left of them. That was Sunday evening. By Monday morning, Axios reported that Trump had scheduled a National Security Council meeting in the Situation Room for Tuesday to discuss military options. The planned attack was reportedly a major escalation beyond anything the United States had done since Operation Epic Fury ended its active phase on May 5th. It was designed to send a message that the ceasefire did not mean the United States had lost the ability or the willingness to resume full-scale operations at any moment. And then the phone calls started. The Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, reached Trump first. Qatar has been one of the most active mediators in the region throughout the war. It hosts the largest American military base in the Middle East, Al Udeid, which serves as the forward headquarters for CENTCOM's air operations. Qatar also maintains one of the only functioning diplomatic channels to Iran. The emir told Trump that negotiations were at a critical stage, that progress was real, and that an American strike would destroy everything that had been built in the previous weeks of diplomacy. Mohammed bin Salman called next. The Saudi Crown Prince had his own reasons for wanting the attack stopped, and those reasons were not entirely diplomatic. On the same morning as the Barakah drone strike, Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Defense announced that it had intercepted 3 drones entering Saudi airspace from Iraq. The kingdom reserved the right to respond. Saudi Arabia is now being attacked by Iranian-backed militias despite not being an official combatant in the US-Iran war. An American attack on Iran would almost certainly trigger a massive Iranian retaliation against Saudi oil infrastructure, the same infrastructure that was hit in the 2019 Abqaiq attack that temporarily knocked out half of Saudi oil production. MBS does not want a repeat of Abqaiq. He wants the war to end before it comes to his doorstep again. Mohammed bin Zayed called third. The UAE president had the most personal reason to want the attack stopped. His country had just been hit. The Barakah plant sits in the desert of western Abu Dhabi. It generates 25% of the UAE's electricity. It is the crown jewel of the Emirati nuclear energy program, the first nuclear power plant in the Arab world. An American attack on Iran in the hours after Barakah was struck would have guaranteed an Iranian retaliation against the UAE that could make the Barakah drone look like a warning shot. MBZ was not calling Trump to defend Iran. He was calling Trump to defend the Emirates. Now stop and think about what this moment actually means for the structure of the war. 3 Gulf leaders, none of whom are fighting alongside Iran, all of whom are American allies, all of whom depend on American military protection, just told the President of the United States to stand down. That has never happened in this war. For 80 days, the Gulf states have stayed largely on the sidelines, absorbing Iranian missile and drone attacks, condemning Iran publicly, cooperating with American operations quietly. Qatar provided the airbase, Saudi Arabia provided intelligence, the UAE provided port access. They were the silent partners of the American war effort. And on Monday night, all 3 of them stepped forward and said, "Stop." The reason they gave was diplomacy. The real reason is survival. Every single one of those 3 countries is within range of Iranian ballistic missiles. Every single one has critical oil and gas infrastructure that Iran has already proven it can hit. Every single one has civilian populations living in cities that are built on the assumption that the Persian Gulf is a safe body of water. Dubai's economy depends on foreign investment and tourism. Qatar's economy depends on liquefied natural gas exports that flow through the same waters Iran controls. Saudi Arabia's entire modernization program, the trillion-dollar Vision 2030 plan, depends on stability in the Gulf. An American attack on Tuesday would have put all of that at risk. The 3 phone calls were not acts of diplomacy. They were acts of self-preservation. There is another dimension that most American news coverage missed entirely. On the same day Trump announced the cancellation, Iran's government took a step that nobody expected. Iran announced the formation of a new body to manage transit through the Strait of Hormuz, a signal that Tehran is preparing to formalize the toll system and shipping corridor that the Revolutionary Guard has been running informally since March. Iran also reportedly shared a revised proposal to end the war with the United States through Pakistani intermediaries. The timing of that revised proposal, arriving in Washington on the same day Trump canceled the attack, is not a coincidence. The Iranians knew the attack was coming. The Gulf states told them, and Iran's revised proposal was the price of the phone calls. The 3 Gulf leaders did not just ask Trump to wait. They told him that Iran was ready to put something new on the table, and that bombing them before reading it would be the single most counterproductive thing the United States could do at this moment. Trump's public statement contained a detail that deserves close attention. He said he had instructed the military to be prepared to go forward with a full, large-scale assault of Iran on a moment's notice in the event that an acceptable deal is not reached. That sentence does 2 things. First, it tells Iran that the attack is not canceled permanently. It is suspended. The bombers are still loaded. The targeting packages are still active. The military machine is still ready. Second, it tells the 3 Gulf leaders who called him that their 2 to 3 day window is real, and that if nothing happens in that window, the attack goes forward without another round of phone calls. Trump gave himself a deadline by giving the Gulf states one, and that deadline is now. Meanwhile, the American military posture in the Gulf has not changed by a single ship or a single aircraft. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is still on station. Destroyers are still conducting boarding operations. Mine-clearing operations are still running around the clock. The blockade is still choking Iran's oil exports. And somewhere in the Situation Room, the targeting package for Tuesday's canceled attack is still sitting in a folder, updated hourly, ready to execute the moment the president gives the word. So here's the question that the next 48 hours will answer. 3 Gulf leaders bet their credibility with the President of the United States on the claim that Iran is ready to make a deal. If a deal materializes, the phone calls will be remembered as the moment 3 Arab leaders saved the Middle East from a catastrophic escalation. If no deal materializes, the phone calls will be remembered as the moment 3 Arab leaders delayed an inevitable military operation and gave Iran 72 more hours to prepare for it. One side says the Gulf leaders just performed the most important act of diplomacy in the war, creating space for a deal that ends the conflict without more bloodshed. The other side says Trump just showed the world that 3 phone calls from 3 monarchies can stop the American military, and that every adversary on Earth is now watching to see whether American threats mean anything at all. Write which side you believe in the comments, because the people who say this was smart diplomacy and the people who say this was dangerous weakness are about to have the most important argument on this channel. And if you have not seen our breakdown of why Trump called Iran's counter-proposal garbage and what Iran actually asked for, make sure to watch that one next.